Welcome to Reparenting Daily, your free daily guide for inner child healing and repairing the relationship with yourself. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine and is divided into 3 sections. The first is the daily reading, the second is a discussion of the reading, followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is peaceful binaural beats meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you could join us on this journey of self-expansion. If this is your first time here, welcome. As a celebration of passing episode 700, I've opened a free membership tier for the Patreon community so you can access additional resources and join the weekly Zoom calls for free. I know there's a lot going on in the world right now and that so many people are really struggling. My hope here is to still encourage others to continue the work on reparenting and to offer a free community where people can come together and do that. I'd also like to thank all of you who've been along on the journey so far. Just as a reminder, this is a free podcast, but you can support the project by purchasing the Reparenting Daily Journal, where you can follow us along all year. This 333-page journal gives you extra insight and resources for each week, and also provides space for you to keep your notes. Another way to support the podcast is to purchase the Fairy Tales for Reparenting series, volumes 1 through 3. This collection organizes famous and obscure fairy tales from around the world into the 3 phases of the hero's journey. While you might think that fairy tales are for kids, I'd like to challenge you. These stories contain profound truths and lessons carried down over millennia that we can use in our reparenting journey. It's a fun way to reconnect with your inner child. Each volume comprises 10 fairy tales. They include an analysis section to help you dive deeper into the message, as well as journal prompts and space to reflect on the story's meaning in your life. Lastly, you can also support the project by taking a paid Patreon subscription, by purchasing the books on the website, or by donating via Buy Me a Coffee. You can find all this information on the Support Us section of the website. So now, with these announcements out of the way, let's dive into today's practice. Today, we're listening to a portion of a talk entitled The Science of Building Extreme Discipline by Andrew Huberman. Just as a reminder, we're in April, and the theme for this month is Developing Structure and Discipline. We're in week 3, and the theme for this week is Developing Discipline. Now, in this talk, Andrew Huberman is using an example from David Goggins, so the extreme athlete. I think he was a Marine or a Navy SEAL or something. And if you're familiar with his story, you will understand or you'll know the extreme lengths that he pushes himself. And Andrew Huberman discusses how some people are able to hack into that energy or that motivation or that discipline, and he explains a bit more what drives and settles them. You'll see that the ability to delay gratification by keeping the image of your success in mind is a significant tool for maintaining your discipline. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to the lecture and we'll catch up.
There's a certain friction, I actually call this limbic friction, where let's say you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. You just don't. Maybe you're tired, but maybe you're just not motivated and you force yourself to get up. What you're doing is you're using top-down control to say, the fatigue I feel, I'm going to override that fatigue. And much of what's online is how do you override that fatigue, that lack of motivation. And some people say, well, you got to do it out of love. And then other people say you do it out of anger. And it doesn't matter. These top-down mechanisms are very subjective. If you are going to do it because you really care about the person that you're going to pick up at the airport and you got to get up early, well, that's one mechanism. If you're going to do it because you're a person of your word and you said you were going to be there and you do it. You know, the just do it mantra is top-down control. Okay. Now, just the top-down control is also involved in controlling reflexes. The desire to consume something that isn't good for you, you can resist that desire through top-down control. The more rested you are, generally, the easier it is to engage top-down control. So when I look at people, I don't know Ronda Rousey, I don't know too much of her story, but I do know David. He's been to my lab, and I endorsed his book, and I'm obviously super impressive. David Goggins needs no introduction. Super impressive, and I think one of the many important things that David stands for is the ability to override limbic friction, to talk to him, to convince himself to do it anyway. And there are others that do this. I've talked about this as well. That is top-down control, and what he's done, if I may, I've never actually figured this out conclusively, but I have a strong sense that what he's done is he's somehow gotten very familiar with the narrative of friction, or the experience of friction, and the narrative of overriding friction, and he knows that a win is coming later. And so what happens is if you know that overriding limbic friction is going to create a win down the line, that win could be a sense of accomplishment, that you conquered something in this limbic friction.
So you need to know what that accomplishment looks like.
You need to experience, it helps to know what the win feels like, yes. And what you can do is you can start to thread back that dopamine from the future to the idea by getting out of bed, I'm already starting to experience the win. You can anticipate the win. Now, there's actually a paper that was just published on this, as a good timing for this question, which is that really points to the fact that delayed gratification is controlled by dopamine. And it's a somewhat complex paper, so I don't want to get into the details, but what it shows is that if you know that by delaying gratification, you are going to, it's worthwhile, you start to achieve that dopamine increase earlier. So delayed gratification is, as it sounds, is, resisting the urge, resisting the chocolate bar, or resisting the staying in bed, or whatever it happens to be. But that itself can start to evoke dopamine release. Now,
welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed this short excerpt. As always, you can find the link in the show notes to listen to it in its entirety. I highly suggest that, as it's filled with tips. One thing that really stuck out here for me is that discussion on managing top-down control, how to integrate and keep in alignment with your true self so that you're not relying on willpower alone, but that something instead becomes ingrained in part of your identity. Similar to the other topic, the other lectures that we've listened to so far this week on developing discipline. It's such a key aspect because reparenting takes consistency, and that discipline means showing up over and over and over and over to change the patterns of the subconscious mind. And so, if you've been following along, as I've been mentioning, we're almost at episode 730. That is one episode for every day for 2 years of consistent support. And so, for all of you who have been along every single day, thank you so much. It's a big journey, and as I mentioned before, we'll be taking some steps into new directions. But this is an example of discipline in action, extreme discipline, dare I say. Every single day is a lot of work, even just to tune in and to listen and to put these practices to work. That takes a lot of discipline and dedication, almost at the level of David Goggins. And so one thing that is so important in this journey and that I'd like to encourage you to take away from this talk is your willingness and ability to visualize your new identity, to be able to inhabit that, to step into that fully, and to be able to get a dopamic, I forget how you pronounce that word, dopamic release from your visualization of that future self. Once you're able to do that, it's much easier to ease to your temptations that keep you stuck in the unwanted patterns. And so this is one of the most powerful tools that I think we can have, visualization. We've been discussing it many, many, many times, and it's come up from many, many different directions. One of the most powerful tools you have, and it's free. That's probably the best part. And so as we think about the journal prompts for today, or reflection questions, if you like, number one, where do I struggle most with my discipline? What aspects of discipline are most challenging? Is it the ability to delay gratification, to keep in mind why I want to do something, for example? Is it the practical supports and resources to accomplish a certain action? Or is it a lack of support or something else? Number two, what would change if you were able to be more disciplined in your life? What positive aspects can you expect and visualize? And number three, do you have difficulty visualizing? Do you have difficulty visualizing your future self having achieved your most important goals? If so, if you challenge with that, how can you begin to improve that? What do you need to get better at doing that? And if you already are able to visualize, how might you improve your visualizations so they're even more impactful? That's it for today. As always, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself, and please do be well. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for the next 10 minutes. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you most comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you're taking time to be with your breath and to connect more fully with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing, as if they are leaves drifting down top river. Use this time to connect with yourself, whatever time of day you are listening to this. Namaste.